very good morning and a warm welcome back to your feel-good breakfast show Expresso on SABC3. Now, in 2014, the world stood together to proclaim Bring Back Our Girls after the extremist terrorist organization Boko Haram kidnapped over 200 schoolgirls from the government secondary school in Chibok, Nigeria. Now, this past Sunday, 82 of these young women returned in an emotional homecoming in Abuja, and we have the director of Signal Risk Ryan Cummings, who's on the line right now to unpack what this means and how this all came about. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Katejo.
Now, could you take us through exactly how this came about? Explain the exchange that took place in order to ensure the return of these 82 young women.
Well, the Nigerian government has been quite coy on the conditions that resulted in the latest release of a group of the 81 Chibok girls. According to sources within the military, 5 Boko Haram commanders were exchanged in release or in exchange for the group. And this is similar to what we saw in October 2016, where there were also suggestions, which were later denied by the Nigerian government, that released as many as 4 Boko Haram commanders at the time for, in exchange for, I think it was 21 of the Chibok hostages.
Now, because I think the big concern in the aftermath is what measures are being put in place to ensure the safety of these young women.
Yeah, I think that is key. We have to understand that it's been 3 years that they've been in Boko Haram captivity, and they've obviously undergone quite significant psychological and even physical abuse by their captors. And the key issue at the moment is what the Nigerian government has put in place to ensure that these girls are rehabilitated and are able to be reintegrated back into Nigerian society.
Mm-hmm. And I guess on the other side of the spectrum, what does this trade of these 5 Boko Haram leaders mean in terms of the constant threat of danger from Boko Haram?
Well, that's quite interesting because we don't know the identities of these individuals, what their skill sets are, but we do know that Boko Haram is quite a decentralized movement. So the return of any commanders to the group is unlikely to have a wider impact on the insurgency, but could have an impact on the areas in northeastern Nigeria to where these individuals are returned.
Mm-hmm. And I think, of course, we all know about the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls campaign, which certainly, I think, proved effective thus far in calling the attention to the kidnappers. But how can we still consciously remember and advocate that, you know, not all the young ladies have been returned home safely and continue the search for them and continue in these negotiations?
Yes, definitely. I think the most important aspect to realize is while there's about 113 girls that are still unaccounted for, Amnesty International has suggested that Boko Haram holds as many as 2,000 women and children who have potentially been used for suicide bombings that we've seen in northeastern Nigeria and also other insurgent operations by the sect. So this is something that needs to be central to the narrative when exploring the situation regarding the Chibok girls, that, you know, while this group has drawn media attention and while the world is kind of waiting and expecting for their return to their families, the fact is that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other civilians that remain in Boko Haram captivity and who are being used to carry out some gruesome activities on behalf of the sect.
Yeah. Ryan, thank you so much for taking our call this morning and for giving us an update on exactly what it is that's been happening. That is Ryan Cummings. He's director at Signal Risk, and we do appreciate it. And of course, Expresso extends our gratitude, our relief and recovery to those young women who have been returned, and our thoughts and prayers to those families who are still waiting after 3 years for their young girls to be returned back home.